Okay, Soumya, you will be removed from the. Okay, please join back. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's session. In the previous classes, we looked into the various constructs of the JavaScript language, and then also looked into some of the objects that are readily available in the JavaScript. For example, we looked into the array object. Okay, how array is implemented, how we can initialize, how can delete, how we can insert. So all those operations we looked into. Then we looked into the string object, how to handle the string, how to instantiate a string object. Then we looked into a date object, various other objects we looked, and one of the important object is the DOM object. That is document object model. This is very very important. Understanding of the DOM. This is the uh, main API through which you can access the HTML document. So the whole HTML document will be accessible through this DOM, and whatever the changes you want to do to the HTML structure, you want to add elements, you want to update certain elements, all those operations can be done using once you have the DOM object. So we'll see the examples in today's class. JavaScript is almost always used to interact with the HTML document in which it is contained. So, where whatever the HTML document where the JavaScript resides, it always interact with that, and that is accomplished through the API that is called as a document object model, or the DOM. And this is the definition according to the W3C, platform and language neutral interface that will allow program and scripts dynamically access and update the content, structure and style of the documents. These are the three important aspects of a HTML document: the content and the structure and the style. So all these things can be dynamically accessed, and they can be modified by all the programs and all the scripts that we have. So this is, if you are already aware of the DOM tree, that DOM tree is actually the representation of the DOM, and the root of that structure is the document. Document is the root element, and inside the document we have the complete HTML structure. For this is the HTML document we have. Inside the HTML we have two siblings, head and body, and inside the head, so you can see the two siblings here, and inside the head we have two elements, meta title. You can see these are the child of this particular node, and inside the body we have h1 is there, paragraph h1 paragraph. Inside the paragraph we have the anchor tag, okay, anchor HTML element. Then we have the image, and then we have h2 header. Then we have a div. Inside the div again we have two paragraphs. Inside the first paragraph we have a time HTML element. So that complete structure is represented in the DOM tree. That is the so how the structure of this particular HTML document. So you can see this is the div, and this is another div. This is the another div. So all these are called as the nodes. Whenever we refer to the DOM tree, all are nodes, and a particular node can have a child node. For example, title is child node to the head, and head is child node to the HTML. And um, so title is the child node to the head is the child node to HTML, so and so on. And the node which is above the current node, that is called as a parent node. For head, HTML is the parent node. So you can see here, for this anchor, paragraph is the parent node, for paragraph, body is the anchor node, and so on. And the nodes which are at the same level, those are called as a sibling nodes. So for example, under HTML, these two are the child nodes that are present, which are at the same level. Those are called as sibling nodes. This is the example of a sibling node. Meta and title are sibling nodes. Here all these are sibling nodes. So when we traverse from top to the bottom, we encounter the child nodes. When we traverse from the bottom of the tree to the top of the tree, we encounter all the parent nodes. So once you get access to the any node, you can easily traverse. Suppose if you get a access to this body, then we can get a access to h1, all these things. We will see how it is done programmatically using the JavaScript. And there are different types of nodes. The DOM, each element within the HTML document is called as a node. So whatever element that are present inside the DOM, those are called as the node. If the DOM is a tree, then each node is an individual branch. What kind of a nodes we have? Element node. What is the meaning of the element node? These are all these are the element node. So h1 paragraph, image, h2 div. Okay, all these are element nodes, means HTML element nodes. Then we can have text nodes. In this particular example, this is not shown, but this is the text element by Ricardo. On there are so many text here. Share your travels. That is a text node. Any content that is present in the HTML document, that forms a text node. Then we have the attribute nodes. What are the attribute nodes? We know every HTML element has many attributes. Those attributes form as the attribute nodes. For example, okay, so in this previous example, you can see the anchor node has the attribute called as href. So this href forms as the it is a attribute node. All nodes in the DOM share a common set of properties and methods. So you have to remember, all the nodes that are present in the DOM structure, they will have a same set of properties as well as the methods. Okay, next is, this is the example. We have a paragraph here. Paragraph opening element, photograph of conservatory pond in. Then after that I have a anchor HTML element. It starts here and it has an attribute href and it specifies the link, and this is the opening anchor tag. Then we have the again text, so there is some content, central park, and this is the closing of the anchor HTML element and closing of the paragraph element. So if you see the DOM structure for this, we have the paragraph element. This is the paragraph element. Inside the paragraph element, I have this text, right? Photo of conservatory pond in, that is the text node. So you can see text node that is available, and also after that text we have a anchor HTML element. So this is the anchor HTML element, this text node, and element node. Why it is an element node? A is the HTML element, so this is an element node, and P is also element node. Inside this anchor, I have a attribute, isn't it? I have an attribute, and also there is some kind of a text. So inside this anchor, we have a, as a child node, one is the attribute node, where we have this attribute href, and also we have a text node, that is. I hope you understood what is a element node, what is a text node, and what is the attribute. Element node is what? Whichever the HTML element present in the HTML document, that forms as a element node. Element node. For example, in this particular HTML document, we have one paragraph and one anchor. Two HTML elements are there, and we have text node is what? Any content that is present in the HTML document, that is called as the text node. So if you see, this is the content of the paragraph, photo of conservatory pond in, and also there is another content inside the anchor element, central park. These two forms the text node. So this is one text node and this is the text node. And every HTML element has a property or the attribute that forms the attribute. DOM nodes, essential node object properties. So these are the node object properties. What are the different properties we have? We have attributes, which is a collection of node. So attributes is nothing but it is collection of all the node attributes. Then child nodes. Child, what is child nodes? A node list of a child nodes for this node. So whatever the node you are referring to, The node list will give all the child nodes. Okay, for example, if you go back to the previous, if I say, for example, HTML, if I say child node, then it will give the complete child list of all the under that element. Then first child, among the child nodes, which one will be the first one? So for example, if I select this HTML, if I say child node, this would be the first child. If I say first child node, I will get the head HTML element. Okay. First child property gives the first child node of this node. Similarly, last child, it gives the last child of this particular node you are selecting. So if you go back to this example, so this is the if you take this example, if you have with respect to this particular node, if you say first child, this element node I will get, and if I say last child, I will get this element. And if I say sibling, so these are the all the siblings. Sibling is the next next sibling is the if you are referring to node, then this would be the next sibling. So next sibling, when you are at the same level, then by calling this property next sibling, you will get the next sibling node for that particular node. Then node name, whatever is the name of that particular node. Then node type of the node. So we know there are three types: element, text, and the attribute node. And node name is what? It is the whatever the element that is present, that name would be the node name. Then value, node value, the value that is present in the that particular node. Parent node, so it goes one level up. For example, if I say a parent node, if I'm at this node, if I say parent node, I will be getting the this particular node object, HTML node object. And previous sibling. So similar to next sibling, if you want to traverse back for any reason, you want to see which one is the previous sibling, then you say the previous sibling property, which will give the sibling node for this particular node. Document object. The DOM document object is the root JavaScript object representing the entire HTML document. So this DOM document object is the root JavaScript object. It will represent the complete HTML document. It contains some properties and methods that we will use extensively in our development and is globally accessible as a document. So this particular DOM object is accessible using the a document. So there are many properties and many methods that we can use. For example, for specifying the doc type, for example, in the HTML document, the doc type is specified as HTML. Then you will say, if you want to access the doc type, you will say variable a is equal to document dot doc type dot name. So this will get the value of the document type, whichever is the doc type that is set in HTML document. We set it as the HTML. This variable get a value of HTML. And the page encoding, whatever the page encoding that is specified in the HTML document, that can be accessed using this particular way. That is, variable b is equal to document dot input encoding, whatever the encoding that is used. For example, here it says ISO-8859-1. That is the volume that we will get into this variable b. And the that property can be used for any operations. So it depends on what kind of operations you want to do. Based on this value, suppose you want to change the encoding, or according to the particular encoding you want to have certain actions to be taken, those things can be done. uh, Before we proceed, I will show you the code. this is the I have HTML called JS underscore DOM underscore HTML. So doc type, it is HTML, and I have HTML. Inside that I have head and a body. Inside the body I have just one button is there, and and inside the head I have, sorry, inside the head I have title, and I have a script. I have included the JavaScript here. We already know how to include the embedded JavaScripts. This is the way that is done. Here I have declared one variable. Variable A is equal to document dot doc type dot name. So whatever the doc type, that will get stored in this variable. Then I am displaying that variable using a pop-up window. That is a alert method. Alert. Then I have a string. Document type is colon, and this string is concatenated. Plus will concatenate with whatever the value that is stored in the variable A. Okay, this is a very simple HTML. Let me load this page. JavaScript, and this is JS DOM HTML. So we know the JavaScript will get executed first, and then rest of the document. So you can see in our JavaScript we have a alert, and we are displaying the value of A. So what, so document type is, it will append with the value of the doc type. Doc type is HTML. That is what you can see. One more example is there, I think. Sample doc. Okay, so we will see what is get element by ID. Then we will look into this. All right, we'll see that in a little while, those examples. As we saw, these are the earlier we saw the properties that are available for the object, DOM object. These are the different properties are there, and as also said, there are methods associated with the DOM, that is document object. These are the methods that are available. Create attribute. So what it will create? It will create the attribute node. So we have three types of node, that is element node, text node, and the attribute node. For creating those nodes dynamically, we have three methods. First one is create attribute. It will create the attribute node. Create element. It will create the element node. Suppose you want to create a paragraph or a h1, h2, you can use create element. Okay, and next is create text node. So if you want to create any kind of a content, you can use this create a text node using create text node method. Then this is the most important method, get element by ID, and we provide the ID of the element. So this is the most frequently used method, where we will get the node using this. So if you want to get any node in the DOM structure, you say get element by ID, and you provide the ID. It will return you that particular element node. So get element by ID returns the element node whose ID attribute matches the past ID parameter. So we will use this one, we will understand. Then get elements by tag name, and you pass the name. So what this method will do is, it will get all the elements. Maybe if there are many, it will get it as a list. It will get all the list of nodes as of the element nodes as a list, and we can go through each of those elements. For example, the name here can be, it can be div, it can be paragraph. If you say P, if you say get element by tag name as P, it is going to get all the paragraphs that are present in our HTML document as a list, node list. So returns a node list of element whose tag name matches the pass name parameter. So this is the example. Accessing the nodes, we have get element by id method and get elements by tag name. First one is I have a in JavaScript I have a code like this: variable abc is equal to document dot get element by id. Inside the double quotes I provide the id, and what is the id? Latest comment. And this is the HTML document, simple HTML document. And if you see the this HTML document, I have this div. This div is having the id of latest comment. Now what will happen is this element node, that element node object is given to this, so that will be accessed using this. So it will get this div element node. So abc will get the div element node, which is nothing but it has the both the paragraph. Okay, inside that it will have both the paragraph. Suppose if you use by the tag name, instead of giving the id will get you the exact element which you want to access. And get elements by tag name, it is a very generic, it goes through the complete document. It gets the all the nodes which matches the this particular name. For example, here variable list is equal to document get elements by tag name, and you give div. So in this document we have two div. So this both the div nodes will be returned as a list items. Okay, so we will see the next code. Okay, in this code you can see here, let me show you the complete document. So doc type I have HTML. This is the HTML beginning, this is the ending. Inside the HTML I have a body. Okay, that is the beginning, and this is the end. And there I have from here, from line number 5 to line number 7 is the HTML, and I have included the script. So script can be located anywhere. I have included the script here from line number 19. This is the opening tag of the script, and this is the ending of the script. And inside the script I have a function change div. Okay, I have change div, and this is not covered yet. Okay, latest.inner.html. Okay, that is fine. Okay, I have created a JavaScript function. The name of the function is change div, and inside the implementation I have a variable latest. So I am calling a variable called latest is equal to document dot get element by id, and I am passing the latest comment. So this is the same document which you saw in the presentation. I have this id, and this is the only div I have. Inside that there are two paragraphs. So it is going to get that particular content, means it is going to get this node. So it will have two paragraphs, and that is in the latest. And then what I am doing, let me show this later when we talk about. Then I have let's say alert. I will do the alert, and just I will say content of latest. Okay, so whatever is here we are going to display it. Let me load that HTML. Okay, so one more thing here is in the HTML document, just to make like little bit more exciting, how we can use the JavaScript. I have included a button. Okay, and the button content, the name that comes on the button is change div content. Okay, change div content. This is the button I have inserted, and I have used the on click event. So on click means whenever you click the button, the script will be called, and this is the JavaScript function that is called, and it will execute. And what it is doing, it is getting the the latest comment node. So it will get this particular node, and then once it gets the node, it will alert that as a pop-up window. So I will click on this. So you can see now it is it's a object HTML div element. Okay, the content is like it is, because it is an object, we are seeing like this. So you can see this is the content, and the little bit advanced one is that is just to demonstrate how we can change the value. Now you understood. Now I have the this particular object, right? This node I have, div node is I have, inside that there are two paragraph, and what I'm doing is I am taking this HTML. There is a method called as the inner HTML. So if I do the alert here, so if I right now you just saw the object when I displayed the content directly as latest. Suppose if I say inner HTML, whatever is the inside HTML that is present, it will be shown. What I will do is I will remove this. I'm getting the HTML content that is present here, and then we will display that information. I saved. Let me reload, and I will click. Now you can see the whatever is the inside HTML. What is the inside HTML? This is the latest. Okay, inside that I have two paragraph. Okay, inside the first paragraph I have again time element. All these things you can see. This is the first paragraph, and this is the second paragraph. This is how we are able to get the HTML that is present inside using the inner HTML. So latest will get this node, and latest dot inner HTML will get the HTML. Now what we are doing, suppose let us say we want to change it. Instead of showing uh, the paragraph as is, I want to add certain things. So as of now, what is the content that is displayed by Ricardo and this information? Then next paragraph, I love Central Park. If you see, this is one line, this is one paragraph, two information is loaded. Now using this function, what I'm doing, I'm changing the latest dot inner HTML. What I'm changing is I'm keeping the old message as is, that is whatever the content present, that will be retained as is, plus I'm adding one more paragraph in bold. So you can see strong, this is the paragraph, this is strong, updated this div with JavaScript with JS. I added this. I will save and reload the HTML. Now once I click on that, maybe alert, we can stop. Okay, let the alert be there. We will get the alert. This is the content, and if I say okay, you can see it has dynamically added. So let me remove this alert. We don't need alert. I save it, then reload the HTML. So this is the content you are seeing. Now you click on change div content. When I click on the change div content, it's a on click event. On click, change div method is called. Inside the change div method, I am changing the HTML. Inner HTML I am changing. I'm adding one more paragraph. So you can see when I click here, I get one more line here. Okay, you can see that. If I click once again, obviously this would be the old message, it will add this div again. So as long as you keep on clicking, you will see additional lines. If you have any questions, you can ask, you can interrupt me. Now, so the type of object returned by the method document dot get element by id described in the previous section is an element node object. So what we get when we say get element by id, we get a element node object. In previous example, in our code, In our code, when we say get element by id, we give the id and this is the id. So we get this element node object, div element node object we get. This represents an html element in the hierarchy contained between the opening angle bracket and the closing angle bracket. Tags for this element can itself contain more element. What is the meaning of that? When you are getting a element, that element might be having more elements, which is exactly same as our case. We are accessing this element which has more elements inside it. Element node object. Okay, so for the element node, now we are talking about the element node. What is the element node? Div, paragraph, h1, h2, all those are the element node. And for those element node we have certain properties. First one is the class name, the current value for the class attribute of this html element. So if there is a class attribute that is specified, that current value will be given as the class name. Then id, current value for the id of this element. In our sample code, this is the id. This is how we can access the id. Id, the current value of the id of the element. Inner html, we already saw the example, represents all the things inside the tags. This can be read or written to and is the primary way which we update the particular divs using JavaScript. We already saw the example. The most used methods are the on the document object we say get element by id, and for the object this is the most frequently used inner HTML, using which you can change the content. Then style attribute of an element, we can read and modify this property. So style, suppose this element object is having a inline style. The content of that style can be accessed and also it can be changed. Then tag name, whatever the tag name, that is the tag name for the element. Modifying a DOM element. How to modify the DOM element? A document.write method is used to create output to the HTML page from JavaScript. One second. Okay. All right. So a document.write method is there. It can be used to create the output to the HTML page from the JavaScript. The modern JavaScript programmer will want to write to the HTML page, but in a particular location, not always at the bottom. Using DOM document and HTML DOM element objects, we can do exactly that using the inner HTML property. So whatever we can achieve using the document.write, that can be done using the inner HTML. So this example already we saw. Variable latest is equal to document dot get element by id, and it this is the id and this is the id of a div. Okay, this is the id of this div. And once you, what this will return, this will return a element node object. What latest will have? It will have the element node object. Once you have the element node object, latest, this object dot inner html will give whatever is the content of that particular html. That value is stored in a variable called as old message. Then we want to change the content of that element object. How to do that? Latest dot inner html is equal to old message. Old message in the sense we had two paragraph, that is the old message which we already copied here in with the statement, plus we are going to concatenate with one more paragraph. So paragraph updated this div with JavaScript. So we already saw the example how this particular code works. Although the inner HTML technique works well and is very fast, There is a more verbose technique available to us that builds output using the DOM. Okay, so this is another way we can do it. DOM functions, we already looked into this. Create text node, it will create a text node. And remove child method, if you want to remove certain child, you can remove. And append child, it will append the a child. Allows to modify an element in a more rigorous way. So this is the same thing can be achieved using this particular way, using these methods: create text node, remove child, and append child. Here variable latest is equal to document dot get element by id latest comment. So we are going to get the div element node object reference to that. Then we are accessing the inner html and we are storing it in the old message, and new message is old message and appended value. Then we are saying latest dot remove child, latest dot first child. So which child we are doing removing? Latest dot first child means we are removing the first paragraph. Then latest dot append child, we are appending with a document dot create text node. So we are creating a text node and we are passing this message. Okay, so that is how it will be updated. Changing an element's style. Okay, so right now, so far what we saw, how we can change the content of the html. Now we can change the style of a particular element. We can add or remove style using the style or the class name property of the element node. uh, its usage is shown below. To change a node's background color and add 3 pixel border. Now this particular example has a it makes the background color to change, and also it will make the border as 3 pixel. How to do that? We have variable comment tag is equal to document dot get element by id. We are going to get specific tag, whichever the tag in. If you want to say div or whatever the paragraph, you will specify that. So you will get the object id. Okay, that element object id, that element object you will get. Once you have this object, comment tag dot style dot background color, you can set, this is some hexadecimal number, so you set this color. And border comment tag dot style dot border width is equal to 3 pixels. So this is how you can change the style of a particular element. Normally how it is done is we use the classes. Okay, that is the easy way to have a control where all the class selectors are on a separate css file. How it is displayed is can be easily controlled. Next, the class name property is normally a better choice because it allows the styles to be created outside the code and thus be better accessible to the designers. So as I said, instead of doing element by element, the setting the properties, it is always better to have all the properties inside a class selector, and you can specify that class, and all the whatever the css rules that are present in that particular class will be applied to the particular element. For this is the example how we can do that. Variable comment tag is equal to document dot get element by id. You specify the specific tag, you are going to get the element object. Once you have the element object, comment tag dot class name, you will set the class name, whichever class you want to paint it, means whatever the classes you have, different classes, and how the rules are specified, you select that class here. Automatically that css will be applied. HTML5 introduces the class list element, which allows you to add, remove, or toggle CSS class on an element. So you can, this is the HTML5 feature where you can do, you can have a class list element. This is the example: label dot class list dot add class, and then you will add the particular class. Okay, before we go to the more properties, we have one more example for changing the style. Okay, so this is the same document what we saw. We have all the HTML content, plus I have added a button which says change div content, or you can say change div style. Okay, we are changing the style, and on click I'm calling the change div JavaScript function, and it is inside this script. And change div inside what we are doing, we are getting latest is equal to document dot get element by id latest comment. So it is going to get the element object of this. Okay, it's going to get the element object. Then old message is equal to latest dot inner html, whatever the inner html that will be stored in the old message. And new message is equal to whatever is the old message, plus we are adding a paragraph. Then latest dot style dot background color, so I'm setting this color. And latest dot style dot border green solid 3 pixels. So you can see I am here, this is the property that is specified. Let me run this is how I can change. So that is 6 DOM update HTML. Now you can see here, this is how we are accessing this div. There is a div here. If I click on change div style, what will change? The background color will become this color. I don't know, I think it's a yellow color. It will become that particular color, and it will div will get a border with a green color solid line and 3 pixel thickness. If I click on this, okay, you can see the div has got a border, green border with 3 pixels solid line, and its background is changed to yellow color. Of course, you didn't see the changing of the content. The reason being, we did not set the property. Okay, so if you want to see this added line, actually we should say latest dot inner Okay, sorry, I got disconnected. Let me share my screen. Okay, changing the color. So I think this slide is complete. Anybody? Hello, Prajit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we were talking about this. All right. So there are more properties that are associated with certain elements. For example, href. Href attribute is used in the tags to specify URL to a link. This is available with the anchor tag. Name. Name is not available for all the tags. It is available for these are the elements. Okay, name ID is available for ID properties are available for all the HTML elements. Name is available for these, that is anchor, input, text area, and form. And the SRC property, SRC property is available for image, input, iframe, and the script, where you will give the source. Okay, in case of the image, it is the source of the image where it is located. SRC links to an external URL that should be loaded into the hub page, as opposed to href, which is a link to follow when clicked. So href is what? It will provide a link. When you click on that, you will go to that particular link. And what SRC provides, it gives the source where the certain things should be located. Value, the value is related to the value attribute of input tags. Often the value of an input field is user defined, and we use the value to get the user input. So whatever the value that is entered by the user, that will be the value of that particular element. This is available for input, text area, and submit. JavaScript events. There are certain JavaScript events. Why events are important is we can make the page look very dynamic, okay, and very interactive. One of the example just we saw is a like a on-click event, right? Using that on-click, we can carry out certain actions. For example, change style or a change content. We had that button. By clicking on that, we use the on click event, and we executed a Java function, and inside the Java function we change the content, or we can change the style, whichever we want we can do that. Okay, so JavaScript events, we will see it in the next session.